Try this morning. Welcome to Mindset Monday. I don't know, my phone was being weird and it just makes me laugh because I don't have a clue why it does that. But we're not going to talk about that today. What we're going to talk about today is why it's so much easier to drop the good habits than the bad habits. Hey, Susanna, I'm glad you're here. And how easy it is to forget what we were doing that worked. And I was chatting with a client this morning and this came to mind, and it's really laughable. I know you're here. Did you hear me say hi? I hope. So anyway, so you go on vacation and all of a sudden you realize like a week later when you're back home that you're not flossing. You forgot that you were lifting weights. You're not drinking enough water. All these things that make you feel better, and yet somehow you were on vacation or you got super busy and you forgot to do them. Okay? And I know I'm not alone in this. So I would love for you to share with me some of the habits that you either want to develop or that you had going and then they slipped away. I don't know why that happens, but it so does. Oh, and by the way, I'm Sue Yelvington, and what I love more than anything in the world is helping people uncover the truth of who they are and get rid of the stuff that doesn't serve them. And habits is part of that. You cannot bring yourself fully to your life if you've got something sucking the life out of your life. And often it's our habits that create that. And it is easier to drop the good habits than the bad, because part of it is because it takes discipline. Okay. Oh, and by the way, if you're in the replay, I do come back and read comments and things. So I would love to hear what you might like some help with, some habits. And I am going to talk about, I think it's 5 reasons that how we lie to ourselves and take ourselves off our best game. So that's what we're going to talk about today. One of the things that struck me, if you've been following me at all for any length of time, I take a morning walk almost every day. It's got to be pouring rain. Sometimes I even do it in the rain. It's got to be below 0 or I'm out there because it makes me feel so good. And yet, I think it was last week, I got busy and I didn't walk for 4 days. That's part of my morning platform. That's part of how I get myself to have a really good day. And it was interesting because it was a busy week and there was a lot going on. It was interesting to watch. I ran out of food too. I batch cook, right? I didn't have any food. Peanut butter, but nothing fixed because I got off my routine, and it's so flippin' easy. So I know I'm not alone in this because I just know I'm not. I know people. So what are some of the lies we tell ourselves that get us off track? One of them is, I'm never going to do that again. You think that you've developed this strength and it's never going to happen. And yet in a weak moment, it might. So never say never. It's a really good rule. Sometimes, speaking of rules, we bend the rules. Like, okay, I can do it just this once. If I just do it once, the problem is that's the beginning of the slippery slope. Okay, you loosen your standard at one point, and then it's easier to do it again and again and again. That's how I think people big embezzlers. I think they found a way to they found $10 or found a way to steal $10 or something, and then pretty soon they're doing it over and over and over again. They went down that slippery slope. So the other thing is sometimes you think that you've grown past it and you're immune to whatever that is. But we're all little kids at heart. So it's real easy. It's just so easy to fall into bad habits and not realize it. I think sometimes too, we think we're stronger than we are, and we underestimate the grip that this thing has on you. And this is particularly true with, addictions. And I want to, this is sort of a side note, but there's new information coming out about addictions, and our brains are wired for habits. They are. And it causes a level of anxiety when you try to do something different if you've got a belief that you need to do that for whatever reason. Drinking to be calm, or smoking to be calm. With drugs, you get a double whammy, because it's the drug and the withdrawal that's creating that anxiety. But what you're always running from is the anxiety, the pain. We seek pleasure and run from pain, but they've done study after study that shows that hi Wendy, and I would love to know, tell me what, if you're battling some kind of habit, and that, okay, so your brains are hardwired to do the same thing over and over again. And with drugs and alcohol, which is really funny, why do we have drugs and alcohol when alcohol is actually a drug? But anyway, it creates its own anxiety, the physical, and then you've got the emotional to deal with as well. So part of why we need to give ourselves a little bit of give yourselves a hug. I think we need to give ourselves a hug. Hi, Selena. Gosh, I haven't talked to you in a long time. Because it is difficult to face that anxiety and keep everything going that you got going. Sometimes you just need a timeout. And it's vigilance, paying attention to all these little things that can set you off, is kind of a lot of work. But I will tell you, because I do this a lot, that it becomes a habit. It becomes second nature to pay attention to how you feel. And what we're going to talk about on Wednesday on Shine, which is my business page, we're going to talk about triggers, because triggers are huge and they can be so subtle that you don't see them. Okay. And that's often what has you drop the good habit and stay with the bad habit. So if you want something to change, you've got to change direction. And because our brains are hardwired to do the same things all the time, they keep us safe and not even comfortable, just safe, just alive. Your body wants to keep you alive. It is a lot of work to change. And I often think about the difference between, a sports car and a semi. A sports car can turn on a dime, but if you got a semi, you gotta do that, whatever that's called, when it goes like that, and you have to do it in stages, because it's so big. And so for those of us that have a certain amount of years, some of these habits we've had for a long time and they just seem normal, and you try to replace it with a good habit, and that it's a lot. Okay, so you got this anxiety and it's got a grip on you. The best thing, hi Anthony, the best thing you can do, if you can make yourself do it, is stay with it. Just sit down, stop anything, and explore the feeling and let it be there. And I have done this sometimes where it feels like Brillo. It feels so rough and scratchy and painful, because it's an old trigger. There's the reason that we are, and we're going to talk more about this on Wednesday, but the reason that anxiety is so difficult is because it brings up past pain. And we don't have we don't necessarily have a picture in our mind of all of it, but those feelings come cascading up and it feels like death. This is huge. This is huge. And we are in a world energy. Hi, Linda. Gosh, I'm glad you're here. We are in a world energy of change. We have to change, because we are not doing good things for the planet. We are not doing good things for people. And we need the planet needs us. And until we find a way to live authentically and in alignment with ourselves, we can't promote the peace that we need. And it's just so important. It is so important. And you are important. We are, as individuals, we are all pieces of the puzzle. This is funny. This isn't even part of my notes. But I feel so passionate about this, that each one of us is so important, and what we bring to the table and to the planet and to our little piece of the world is valuable. And if we are doing things that hurt ourselves, and if we are beating ourselves up, we cannot play our A game. So changing habits, changing our mind is super important. And by the way, I've started a new group, and I would love to, if you're wanting positive change and support other people in it, if you have an area that you're stuck, or I hate the word stuck, but it's just so, it's so true sometimes. You feel like you're just walking in place, and often that's exactly what we're doing. We're doing the same thing over and over again, keeping ourselves in the same place, and you've got to switch it up, okay? So if you'd like to come to the group, it's on Facebook, Making Change Easy. I think I can post a link. Anyway, so now I want to talk about some of the reasons that it's so difficult, okay? First off, you do have these urges and these cravings, and they feel overwhelming at times. And the trick is to look beneath it. What's under that emotion? What's triggering it? And lots of times that's what. Hi, Jody. Lots of times that's what causes people to overeat and things, is they're eating the emotion away. Some people will overexercise. I mean, there's a lot of ways that we are being triggered emotionally and physically that keeps us in our same pattern we don't want to be in. Hi, Catherine. Hi, Fred. Sometimes we flirt with danger. We think, oh yeah, like I used to be a smoker, and in the beginning, I wasn't around smokers when I was first quitting. I didn't dare. I just really, really wanted to quit, but I knew if I was too close to it and around people too soon before I had some of my own strength, I'd fall right back in that habit. And that's the other part of it. We lie to ourselves. We say, oh, I can have just one. And I had quit smoking once for a little while. I don't remember how long it was. And, I got this overwhelming emotion that I wanted to smoke away. And sure enough, what happens? I'm right back to smoking. And so not just this once. You really have to draw that line in the sand and say, I will not do that. And also have some strategies in place to protect yourself so that you don't fall into that trap when you're vulnerable. I already did that one. Enablers. People that say, well, you can just have one. You can just, one brownie won't hurt you. I used to play that game too. What I used to do? I think this is hilarious. I used to love cookies, and I'm so grateful I don't love cookies anymore. I don't like sweets anymore, and I'm so grateful. But I liked cookies for the texture and the flavor, and I used to like to bite the edges of. I had this whole thing around eating cookies, so I would make the kids cookies, and I would put them in the tin, and I would get the stool, and I would put them above the refrigerator. And then I would go put the stool back. And then if I'd want a cookie, I'd go and I'd put the stool and I'd get it down. I'd open them, close it back up, put it back up, go back to my office, eat my cookies. And I would go through that stupid ritual. I shouldn't have had cookies in the house. And I probably ate cookies more than the kids because I really used to love cookies. Anyway, so people say, just have one cookie. It's okay. Oh, it's your birthday. You can have this. Well, you know what? If that's my danger thing, whatever that is, that bad habit, whether it's food or a behavior, or even a thought process. I mean, sometimes we have sloppy thought process. And sometimes, I teach mindset, right? I help people change their mind. And yet, I'll catch myself with some of the most ridiculous thoughts. And I now make it a habit right then and there of changing it to the best of my ability. But I do want you to know that we teach what we need, right? And so changing mindset, being vigilant about our habits is an ongoing, hi Katie, it's an ongoing life process. And you're never done. Life is never done. You're never going to be done with challenges. So we just need to embrace them and find tools and ways of changing, of making it easier and making it more long lasting. And so join me on Making Change Easy, and tell me what you're up against. I love when it was my client actually that gave me this topic today. So I love when you all message me or share and give me ideas on what I can bring to you that is useful, and I hope this is useful. So again, I'm Sue Yelvington. I will be Wednesday on my business page, and we're going to talk about triggers. And so if you have triggers, PM me or message me or comment and tell me, and I'll address your specific triggers deliberately on Wednesday. And there's just nothing better than letting go of the things that are keeping you in a place that you want to get beyond. And it's my joy and my pleasure to do that. So thank you for being here, and have a beautiful day. And work on your mindset, because it's Mindset Monday.